What is up, guys? Taiki here. Welcome to Farms of the Week, where I'll be going over the farms I'm currently in as well as the farms I'm watching. So if you like the content, please like and subscribe and leave a comment in the comment section below. So let's get started. Okay, so this morning I woke up with some good news. AAVE is deployed on Avalanche. Now the rewards are not live yet, right? So Kevin said that just wait for the announcement. But AAVE Labs said they said early next week. So maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, who knows? But the more important thing is that AAVE is finally here. Like, we can actually see it, which is really, really important. This is going to bring in billions of dollars, I think, into the Avalanche ecosystem because AAVE allows for just like free money, essentially. And you'll kind of see why throughout the course of the week when the rewards do come out. But AAVE isn't just a borrowing and lending protocol. It's kind of like a money printer. And I kind of go over, I have a bunch of videos prepared for the AAVE ecosystem, or sorry, like for AAVE and Curve and different like strategies that you can deploy. But when you can be paid to borrow dollars on AAVE, it just opens up a whole new world of possibilities on like how you can earn yield on Bitcoin, ETH, stablecoins, etc. Right? So when AAVE comes out, I'm gonna just like talk about all these different all these different strategies. And it's gonna be, I'll be targeting more like newbies, beginners, people trying to get into yield farming, because I think there's a lot of interest in yield farming nowadays, and I do want to help people get into farming a lot more. And I'm gonna release this free guide as well. I had this prepared for like 2 weeks now, but I've obviously had to delay it, given AAVE's not out yet. But I'm kind of going over like, what is DeFi, what's yield farming, like how do you pick an ecosystem. Generally, when someone asks me like where should you farm for the first time, I kind of recommend the Polygon-omatic ecosystem, just because the ecosystem is much more mature. The transaction fees are essentially zero, and if you want to try out like with small money, you're not going to be like, the gas fees aren't going to eat away at your profits. It's definitely Taiki approved. And once you're more comfortable, I guess, or you're just like want to skip the Polygon ecosystem directly, maybe hop into the Avalanche ecosystem, just because the reward program is much bigger, right? Polygon's was $100 million, $100 million, and Avalanche's is like $650 million at current prices. So kind of go over like different strategies, how do you farm and dump versus farm to accumulate, right? It depends on the farm, key terms, and got some memes too. So definitely look out for these videos in the next couple of days. So that being said, let's go over different ecosystems, Fantom, Terra, and the CELO network, right? Let's just go over Fantom. So I've already started rotation. I've already started rotating into the Fantom ecosystem because there are some good farms there. And one of the farms that I like to talk about is Curve on Fantom, right? Because we often talk about Curve on Avalanche, but how about Curve on Fantom? These yields are insane, right? You can earn like 130% on Bitcoin or ETH. Obviously, this is not going to sustain itself. But even if this Fantom rewards goes down to like 10%, you're still going to earn like 33% on your Bitcoin or ETH, which is pretty insane. I have a video on what Try Crypto is. You're going to be exposed to some impermanent loss, but to be honest, like if you're providing liquidity for Bitcoin and ETH pools, impermanent loss doesn't really matter. I have a video on it. I kind of showed I show the math, so feel free to check out that video if you're interested. But just be more open-minded about other ecosystems, right? Because the way I'm early into ecosystems is that I identify ecosystems when no one's paying attention, right? And that's when I deploy capital and I slowly farm these tokens. I don't necessarily think Fantom is gonna like giga chad like in the next month or so. In fact, it might not even chad until Q1 of next year. However, I'm just starting to rotate. I'm just like farming tokens and just waiting for the rotation, because that's kind of like how I think about things. Like be early in the ecosystems, farm the tokens, and when everyone is paying attention, then that's when you start taking profits. And speaking of which, the Terra ecosystem, obviously it's been a great one. When the markets are red, it's up 10%. And I talked about in my last video that I think Luna has really strong potential to hit the top 5 token list in all of crypto. And right now the top 5 is Solana, BNB, Cardano, ETH, and Bitcoin, right? I don't consider Tether to be top 5. And I do think that Luna has potential to be there. And given how bullish I am on the ecosystem, I feel like I'm criminally underexposed to all the Luna token. So maybe I'll dabble into the ecosystem and like native projects on Terra when all these protocols do go live. But I'm probably going to start adding to this position. It kind of feels bad to buy at $47 when you first bought it at like down here. But to be honest, like I'm so bullish that like I'm just gonna average up, right? I'm gonna vertically accumulate, as they say, because when it comes to crypto, like you have to have conviction in your bags, right? Because if you don't have conviction, like how are you gonna hold through all these dips, like all these like ups and downs? You really have to do your research. You have to build conviction, and through that conviction, like that's how you like, I guess, build diamond hands or whatever. Because when it comes to Luna, when I look in the mirror, what do I see? I see Michael Saylor talking about Bitcoin, right? I'm just like, you know what? Like I see the future. You know, like Bitcoin's going to 1 million. Well, okay, that's what he says. But you know, I think Luna is a really strong project that everyone should look into at least, because even if you don't want exposure to the Luna token, you can still earn like 50% on your dollars. So, you know, I have a bunch of videos on the Terra ecosystem. I'm not going to get it too much into it here, but look into it. And I think the Terra ecosystem is a good transition to talk about the CELO ecosystem, because they're kind of similar in some ways. And let me kind of explain it here. So a little over a month ago, I first talked about CELO because they announced this $100 million DeFi incentive program. And when I first heard about it, I was like, you know what, like it's just an EVM clone. It's just another Ethereum clone with lower fees. Like I'm not that bullish, right? I kind of brushed it off. But upon looking into the ecosystem a lot more, because you know you have to do these research, right? Do research on new ecosystems. It's a really interesting ecosystem, and it's really similar to Luna when it comes to the tokenomics. Not quite similar, not quite the same, but it's really similar. So if you look into the Terra ecosystem and like the tokenomics of Terra, you kind of know that like, okay, if there's more demand for UST, right? This is a market cap of UST. Then Luna has to be burnt, right? And that's why I think like, and that's why I say like Luna has like one of the best tokenomics in crypto, because you can actually just like look at this and be like, oh yeah, like Luna's gonna go up, right? If USD goes up, Luna's gonna go up, and that's kind of like, I mean, yeah, like it's kind of like what it's been doing, right? Obviously, but similarly, the CELO dollar, which is like the dollar, the decentralized dollar in the CELO network. It has a similar, I guess, relationship to the CELO token, right? And it's kind of going up, so and CELO should kind of trend up over time as well. So how it works is there's like this video in the CELO YouTube channel called CELO Org Stability Protocol, where they kind of go over like how this works. But if you understand the tokenomics of Luna, you'll understand the tokenomics of CELO much easier. With Luna, more USD, if USD go up, Luna go up, right? Because Luna gets burnt. But with CELO, when the demand for the CELO dollar goes up, then if you want to arbitrage the price difference between the CELO dollar and like just like $1, right? Because right now you can like arbitrage a penny, right? By essentially putting $1 worth of CELO into the CELO reserve to mint $1. To mint one CELO dollar. Does that make sense? So imagine a world where the CELO dollar is trading at $1.01, right? And you're like, hey, it's over peg. So can I profit out of this arbitrage opportunity? And the answer is yes. The way you do it is you take $1 worth of CELO, you put it into this reserve, the CELO reserve, and you'll get one CELO dollar in return. So if CELO dollar is over peg, then you can take CELO and make a 1% profit, right? That's kind of how it works. So it's a little different from the Terra ecosystem because you're not burning CELO, you're like adding it to this reserve. And the reserve is like, and the CELO dollar is like severely over collateralized. So if you look into the reserve holdings for the CELO ecosystem, it's $900 million. And keep in mind, like the reserve isn't held by the CELO team, right? It's like a smart contract reserve. And it's just like a hyper over collateralized stablecoin, right? It's like, the market cap of the CELO dollar is 90 million, and it's backed by this reserve, which is 900 million essentially. So it's essentially like over it's like 10% of the market cap of the reserve essentially. And yeah, it's comprised of CELO, all these things, and it's kind of trying to be like this decentralized stable coin that's backed by CELO and a bunch of other tokens as well. And it says like the target for the reserve is going to be something like this. It's like half CELO, 30% Bitcoin, 50% ETH, 5% stablecoins, and right now the reserve is mostly CELO. So over time, they're going to have to sell some CELO to buy more Bitcoin, ETH, and I guess some more stablecoins, etc. So that's kind of how it works. It's kind of similar to this decentralized stablecoin aspect, where if you want to hedge your bet against centralized stablecoins like USDC, Tether, etc., then maybe if UST is not something that you're interested in, maybe this over collateralized model is more interesting to you. And there's like a bunch of resources on like how this actually works. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but yeah, that's kind of how it works. And if you check out their website, they talk about being mobile first. And they have this application. It's called Valora, right? I actually downloaded this on my phone just to see what it's like. It has 1,000 ratings. I don't know how many downloads they have, but 1,000 ratings, which is pretty impressive actually. And you can see the Valora app next to my Chipotle application, but think of this as like a payments application where you can send money, you can send dollars to any phone number in the world. And so let's say I send you from $20 if I have your phone number. And for you to claim those $20, you have to essentially download this application and then set up your phone number, claim your phone number, and then you'll be able to send money anywhere in the world as long as you have their phone number, which is a pretty interesting concept. And if you look into their investors, it's actually backed by pretty notable people. Like notably, like I saw Jack Dorsey, and like what the hell? Like Jack Dorsey is investing in like non-Bitcoin things. I think this is Jack Dorsey's only non-Bitcoin investment. Seed investment. There's Coinbase, Andreessen Horowitz, Polychain, Chamath's company, Social Capital, Naval, T-Mobile, Reid Hoffman. I think he's a CEO or the co-founder of Netflix, and a bunch of other VCs too. So, they have the capital, and I think maybe Jack Dorsey is a fan because he wants a mobile, I guess, like peer-to-peer payment networks or whatever, and maybe he thinks Bitcoin can integrate with this too. But who knows, right? But it's kind of how it works. And the CELO ecosystem, right, the DeFi ecosystem, you can actually access it through your phone too, which personally, like, I'm not that interested in, but who knows, right? Maybe that is the future. Like maybe DeFi on your phone is the future, and maybe if you believe in that future, then CELO is something that you're interested in. Full disclosure, I don't own any CELO tokens. I'm not farming in the CELO ecosystem, but let's go over the farming, all the farming that you can do in the CELO ecosystem, because there are some pretty cool opportunities. And the reason I don't own CELO is that it's despite like it being a relatively new ecosystem with not much being built into it, it's like a $2 billion market cap, which is pretty high to me already, right? And yeah, it's kind of high to me. And if I'm gonna invest in like a decentralized stablecoin, I'd rather like bet on Luna essentially. So it's kind of like my reasoning. But who knows? Like maybe I'm overlooking things, and maybe you can look at this video and be like, like Taiki's wrong. I'm not gonna farm, which is totally fine too. So I'll just go over some farms, and I guess the way I like discuss which farms to talk about, because I only want to talk about the safe farms, right, on the public channel, is that I kind of looked at like out of the $100 million, like who are they giving money to? Because if the CELO Foundation, right, is giving money to particular projects, you can assume that they've done their due diligence and their research to essentially like assume or essentially like know that they're not a rug, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is Ubeswap. They're the native exchange on CELO. Let me just connect to my wallet here. MetaMask. Oh God, okay, one sec. Just connect to the CELO network. There you go. It's kind of buggy. There you go. So yeah, it's just like a Uniswap clone, right? It's Ubeswap. Ube is like some purple yam thing. It's like an Asian thing, but essentially they have a bunch of these pools. They have this MCUSD, MC Euro, Move CELO farm with triple rewards. Like, don't worry, I'll get into this more. But kind of as like going over like all these rewards, right? And like the APR you can earn, like 140% on CELO Bitcoin, 112% on CELO ETH. Oh, that's pretty good. 146% on CELO DAI, CELO USDC. Oh, that's pretty good. And the reason this protocol is interesting to me is because the founder of Ubeswap, right, his name is Ian Macalinau, right? Ian Macalinau. And I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he's also a key contributor to Saber. What is Saber? Well, Saber is only, the Solana, like it's like a Curve clone with $3 billion worth of TVL on the Solana ecosystem, right? So, if this guy is making Ubeswap, then maybe it has merit to like discuss on this channel, right? So I thought that was pretty interesting. And another thing I want to talk about, another farm, is Moolah Markets. So this is a money market, right? It's a borrowing and lending protocol. Right now, it only supports CELO, cUSD, and cEuro. cEuro is like the same as the CELO dollar, except it's a decentralized, I guess, euro stablecoin that's backed by the reserve, obviously. And you can earn like 0.8% on euros or like 3% on CELO dollars, which isn't that great. They only have 100 million TVL. I guess that's pretty high, but it's not like not that impressive. Not that great, right? And like no one wants to borrow CELO, so it's like you get 0% here. But the cool farm that you can do here is that when you deposit cUSD or C Euro into this pool, what you get on the other side is mcUSD and mc Euro, right? And mcUSD is an interesting bearing version of the CELO dollar, and mc Euro is an interesting interest-bearing version of the CELO Euro. So think of this as like AUSD on Terra, right? When you deposit dollars or when you deposit UST into Anchor, you get AUSD in back, and AUSD is a stable coin that appreciates like 20% a year, right? So this is like the money Legos that DeFi allows you to do. When you deposit stuff into DeFi protocols, you kind of get like a token in exchange that kind of, I guess, is a claim on like whatever you deposited. So what you can do here is if you go back to Ubeswap, you can take mcUSD and mc Euro and essentially deposit it here to earn 62%, right? And I kind of think of this as like a stablecoin pair, even though like Euro and USD like doesn't move together. But I mean, like they're currencies, right? They're not gonna move up and down like crazy amounts. So the impermanent loss is like essentially negligible. So let's say this is 60%. So if you deposit pool, if you farm here, then not only are you earning 60% paid in CELO, Moolah, AAVE, you're also earning 30% on the C dollars and 0.8% on CELO Euro, which isn't that great, but it's something. So that's really cool. And also the Moolah also got rewards from CELO here, right? You can see it here. So I think this is a sign that says, like if the CELO Foundation is backing it, then I think it's safe enough for me to put my capital. Not that I'm investing anything into the CELO ecosystem, but maybe this is interesting to you. So two other farms I'll talk about. One is PoolTogether. They're also on a bunch of ecosystems, but they're like a no-loss lottery where you can like essentially put dollars into this, and there's like a lottery every every interval, like every time period. And when you enter this lottery, you actually don't lose money because like the weekly prize is based off of like whatever like interest your dollars are earning, which is kind of like an interesting concept. And something like this kind of makes sense if you're like trying to target like more people through like a mobile application, because imagine like talking to a normie that has no idea what DeFi is, and you're like, yeah, just put dollars into here. Like it's like a lottery, but you can't lose money because like the rewards are like essentially like the paid in the interest that you could have received. So the only thing you're risking is the opportunity cost of like whatever capital you put in here. And you can see that you can earn 28% in CELO, 26% for C Euro or cUSD, which is cool. So maybe something to look into. The last thing I want to look into, talk about is Mobius. Now I've heard mixed feelings about this. So this is like a definitely do your own research farm. It has 47 million in TVL, so maybe it's like safer. But I've heard some CELO OGs say, it's trusted. I've heard some CELO OGs say, like do your own research. Like they've had some like their code isn't that transparent. Like if I'm wrong, like please let me know. But this is a do your own research farm, and just do your own research, right? You got to do your own research. But essentially, it's kind of like Saber, right? Where you were like used to be earning like, Saber used to like pay. Now it's single digits, but it used to pay like 40% on like dollars and whatnot. And right now you can do that here too. I think that this is going to go down, but on stable pairs, 73%, all like crazy good, 55% on Bitcoin, 37% on ETH, and that's pretty good yield on all your stable pairs with no impermanent loss risk. So, just something to look into. They have a built-in bridge here. They use the Optics bridge. I think the Optics bridge had like some issues. But me personally, if I were to bridge over funds into the CELO ecosystem, I would probably just use a centralized exchange, just because it'll be a lot cheaper, and I don't have to worry about like this bridge like bugging out on me and whatnot. So what else? And that's kind of it. I think this is a pretty good overview of the CELO ecosystem. Keep in mind, like I said, like I think it's a cool ecosystem. It's a novel concept, but I'm not deploying capital because there's opportunity cost, right? Like, sure, I can earn 60% on my dollars, but I'd rather deploy those dollars elsewhere because I think I can earn a better yield. Yeah, that's kind of it. So throughout the week, just expect Avalanche Rush videos, expect more tutorial videos, and yeah, I think it's going to be a really exciting month of October. And yeah, I think Avalanche Rush is going to be lit. So thank you guys for watching. Have fun farming out there. And if you want to know how I'm farming, how I'm rotating, all that stuff, check out the private Discord. Link is in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and have fun farming out there.